The Huawei Mate X3, a true tale of Jekyll and Hyde, or Beauty and the Beast if you prefer. Huawei has the hardware of kings, the software of paupers. Or does it? I've had the Huawei Mate X3 for 2 weeks now. Here is my full review from hardware to software. Let's go. What's up Average Dad fans, welcome back to another video. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. If you like this video, you know what to do. All that good stuff. I really want to rush through that because I am desperate to tell you about the Huawei Mate X3. I'm going to split this up into 5 sections. Section number 1, hardware. Now if we can just zoom out a little bit when we're talking about the hardware of the Huawei Mate X3. I want to zoom out because we do this as a society. We're humans, it's just typical, it's only natural. We take things for granted. We take the fact that the power and processing that used to take rooms filled with computers to send a rocket to space can now effectively be done in a 5mm thick device. That's just a fact. The power in this phone and the phone in your pocket is more powerful than rooms full of computers from 30 years ago. We take that for granted. We also take for granted how thin and how unbelievably impressive it is that foldable phones exist. A display, an OLED screen that can flex and bend to suit your needs. I just wanted to highlight that it's a marvel of engineering and it should be appreciated. So with the Huawei, not only is it a marvel of engineering, to me it's the best show of foldable technology on the market. From the crease or lack thereof, the thickness, the dimensions, the speakers, the overall hardware is second to none. Now, I'd done a comparison video previously, but I do want all new viewers to hear just how good the speakers are. Now, hardware-wise, I would debate and argue with anyone. This is the pinnacle of mobile phone technology, and it must be appreciated. So for me, this is the beauty of that Beauty and Beast analogy. The fact that everything is going on in the 7.85-inch inner display, the 6.4-inch outer display, running at 120 Hz, and an 11.9mm thin device, yes, the same thickness as your iPhone 14 Pro Max with a case on, as you've heard me drum on about 14 times. Unfolded, I mean, look, unreal. And the fact that hardware-wise, they've crammed in a triple camera with 4 capabilities. So the telephoto is kind of incorporated into the periscope zoom lens, but we've got a 2x optical, a 5x optical zoom lens, we've got an ultra wide and a wide camera lens. 50 megapixels, 12 megapixels, 13 megapixels, all the megapixels. Large, 7, 8, 5 sensors, all that stuff is great, but here's what the photos look like. So again, I put to you, hardware-wise, stunning. Almost perfection. To this point, the Huawei Mate X3 offers the best package in any foldable device. Now that's obviously clamshell foldable or book style foldable like this. And that's what I wanted to talk about as well quickly. Throughout my time using this, it hasn't left my mind at any point how impressive technology is in general in foldables, but particularly in the Huawei. The fact that they can make this, for me, a foldable, and again, this is my opinion, I want my phone to feel and look like a candy bar style phone for that convenience, thickness, weight, all that stuff. And that's what the Huawei does. But then I want my foldable to open up and give me a massive display in order to multitask, emails, Teams, video conferencing, whatever it is I need to do, some floating windows. And again, we'll go to software soon, but this phone gives me that because it opens up and then it becomes this. Marvel. What I don't want from my foldable phone, like clamshells, is for it to be half the size in my pocket than a normal phone when it's unfolded. That to me doesn't offer any more functionality. It offers some more practicality, I guess. You can put it in your shirt pocket if that's where you keep your phone. That's odd. But functionality is what I'm looking for. And book style foldables do it for me. So the fact that the Huawei has the best hardware, and again, I will argue with anyone, but I don't think there is an argument. Look around, specs wise, hardware wise, it all packs into this device. So that's certainly on the beauty side of things. As we start to verge towards the Beast, and remember the Beast in the famous Disney movie wasn't necessarily bad, just had his quirks. And that's what the Huawei has. I didn't realise I'd be doing so many Disney analogies, but hey, it's working. Maybe I can put Disney in my title and get way more views. I wouldn't do that. So, the beast part of this phone certainly has to be, and this is what I want to talk about now, is the price. The price of the Huawei is too expensive. I can't sit here and say that £2,000 is a reasonable amount of money to spend on any phone. And again, Huawei are pushing the boundaries with engineering and what's capable in phones. So they are going to be charging a premium. I remind you that Samsung charged £1,800 for their Z Fold 4, which to me is miles behind the Mate X3. So, in that vein though, the Samsung was way too expensive as well. Now what Huawei do and Samsung is they'll throw something in, like the GT3 watch, which is a perfectly reasonable smartwatch. But people that are looking to buy a Huawei Mate X3 or a Samsung Z Fold 4, I would be willing to bet a lot of money. They've already got a smartwatch. So it's not necessary. What I would like to see is the cost of the GTS 3, say it's £200 to £300. Just take that off the cost. If this was priced at £1,699, then okay, there's skin in the game. I can get on board with that. If the Z Fold 4 was priced at £1,499 before any deals or offers, okay, we're talking a reasonable price that enthusiasts can get on board with. When you price your phones at £2,000 or close to £2,000, you're already on a narrow margin of error with your user base. Which people are actually going to buy a foldable device in the first place? And then you have to consider, of those people, how many of them are going to spend £2,000 on a device? This is a big issue for Huawei and for Samsung. They need to lower the price, but I understand it's difficult to do. Phones like this are not cheap. I was speaking to someone earlier on who was convinced that there was a new phone out, it was a clamshell style from Motorola, and it was only going to be $400. Not true. They can't. The cost of the OLED panels and the hinge and all the parts that go into it is too expensive for any manufacturer as big as Huawei or Samsung to bring prices down that much. So I get there's going to be a premium, but don't throw in free watches or tablets. Just take the price off. Take the cost of those extra accessories off the price, and then you're going to start to see more sales and happier customers. Now, I want to talk software. Software is going to encapsulate everything inside the phone. So when I say software, I know it's not technically software, but I'm going to talk about the chip as well. So I'm going to talk about that first. The Huawei Mate X3, for its £2,000 cost, doesn't have the latest and greatest Snapdragon chip. This has the 8 Plus Gen 1. For me, and for 99.9% of users, more than powerful enough to do anything you want. But you're going to have the issue that you've not got the latest and greatest chip, which brings with it the latest and greatest efficiency. I have noticed battery life on this is good, but not great. The Vivo X Fold 2 has a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor, and it shows. While the battery capacity at just under 5,000 milliamp hours is similar, software-wise, it clearly is giving the Vivo the edge by about 90 minutes screen on time. And when you're using your foldable device unfolded like you should be, because that's why you're paying the money, battery life does go quicker. Quicker than most other foldables I've actually held. This is more comparable to the Xiaomi Mix Fold 2 than it is any recent foldables. Now, the Vivo X Fold 2 was the first one with the 8 Gen 2 chip, but within the next 2 months, we're going to have way more. So the Huawei for the next 9 months, 10 months, is going to just fall further and further behind in terms of the processor inside and therefore efficiency. Now, for anybody wondering, you will still get a full day out of the battery. A full day for sure, obviously. Like, unless you're gaming for 10 hours a day, then you want to have a charger close by. But luckily, Huawei do include the charger in the box. It is a 66 watt charger, and it will charge your phone from dead to full in around about 40 to 45 minutes. Not too shabby. Now, the phone also has wireless charging and reverse wireless charging, something that some other notable devices and foldable devices don't have. Wireless charging is a bit of a premium still on foldable devices, and that's obvious because the wireless charging is copper coils, it's weight. So again, marvels of engineering, they've managed to include that in here somehow. Now again, we're sticking with the software, we're sticking with the biggest issue. The biggest drawback to any Huawei device, and it's a real shame. Google Apps. We are a society that absolutely relies on Google Apps. Now, in my 2 weeks using the phone, I have found workarounds to the point where with most Google apps, it's not a workaround, it's not an APK file, it's the actual app and it's fine, and using Gbox has worked. So Google Photos, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, all those apps, some of which you can get in the Huawei App Store, but not all, I use Gbox for, and they work just as any other app would. I get notifications through in real time. This is the global ROM, not a Chinese ROM, so I've not had to do anything with the battery settings. So that is kind of one small headache I normally don't mind doing anyway, but it's one small headache I haven't had to do. Notifications all come through instantly as they would on any other Western device. But when it comes to Google Maps, sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. So I seen somebody saying anything that using location services isn't going to work. That's not true. Google Maps uses that and other apps do, and they work fine. But it doesn't always work 100%. It was convinced for about a day that I was living in Germany. I am not. I'm in the UK. I'm in Scotland, bonny Scotland. Google Pay did download for me. I even got as to the point of adding a card, and then it just buffered and kept buffering until eventually it didn't work. And I've tried 3 times. Google Pay sadly does not work on this device. Android Auto sadly does not work on this device. Other important apps that you would most likely want to use on a device are high street banking apps. Do not work on this device. Now, I have read in some, deep dark forums that you can get a workaround for Google Pay and high street banking apps. Looked to me like you had to do some routing of phones, and I just wasn't going to go down that road, especially because it's a £2,000 phone that I am not keeping. I sell on my devices to trusted friends and subscribers who have a similar passion to tech that I do. So I wouldn't do anything to harm the software. Or the hardware for that matter. I've kept case and screen protector on it just so we're aware. Typically the first thing I do with a phone is just rip off that screen protector. But actually, of all the screen protectors, I'm not just saying this, you hardly notice it. When most screen protectors, when you're swiping in from the side to go back, you feel that hard edge. With this one, yeah, a well implemented screen protector. Well done, Huawei. But sticking with the software issues with Google, banking, just write that off. If you've got a spare phone, like an iPhone or another Android device kicking about, I'd just keep your banking on that phone and use this for everything else. Now, again, this is effectively a work phone as well. So I use Outlook and Teams and all Office products like Word, Excel. The screen is more than big enough to do spreadsheet formulas, PowerPoint presentations. My main role, my real life job is a lot of presenting to large groups of people. And the fact that I can read my notes, can read my slides from this device, super handy. Really good for my use case scenario. And then of course you've got the, watching content. Software wise, we've talked about hardware, but software wise, again, I just want to clarify, the Disney app, the Netflix app, Sky Go, all those things are on the Huawei App Store. So absolutely do work completely fine, no workarounds, no issues. I've seen somebody talking about how Netflix didn't work. Netflix works, and it works with HDR as well, so yeah. There's a lot of myths out there, is one thing I will say, but I'll touch on that later on. So the next thing I want to talk about, you could kind of tie into both hardware and software, but I guess section 4 of this video is going to be on the 4G versus 5G debate. And yes, there is a debate. I'm going to keep it short. If you are absolutely reliant on 5G because you have it in your neighborhood, you don't have access to Wi-Fi and you need 5G all the time, I get it. Absolutely. 5G is quicker than 4G. Absolutely. 4G is more reliable, fact, but 5G is quicker. If you are someone that works from home, therefore mainly on Wi-Fi, not having 5G shouldn't bother you. If you're someone that doesn't require to download 20 to 50 or 100 gigabyte files while on the move, 5G shouldn't bother you. If you're someone that has a phone signal round about you, 5G shouldn't bother you. And again, like with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chip, if you're paying £2,000 for the latest and greatest foldable device, you want the latest and greatest technology. And 8 Gen 2 and 5G are the latest and to some greatest. But these aren't deal breakers, certainly not for me. You can get by with the 8 Plus Gen 1 chip, trust me. You can get by with just 4G. So yeah, the 4G v 5G debate, I'm not going to try and change your mind. I'm not trying to convince anybody, and I want to make that 100% clear. I'm not trying to convince you to buy this device. I am telling you that if you buy the device, here's what you can expect. I would never tell somebody to go ahead and throw £2,000 at anything, let alone a mobile phone. Now, the final thing I want to talk about before I summarise my whole experience is those Huawei myths. There's been a few out there. So many comments have told me that I can't get certain apps when I can. And again, not only are they on Gbox, they're on the Huawei App Store. A lot of the apps that some people have been talking about. Some people have told me that Huawei is, unsecure. Don't believe everything you read in a newspaper. Apple phones listen to what you're saying. They have to for the SIRI assistant to work. Huawei phones are no different. I would actually say, like other Android devices, this has a private second space, like separate, secret, secure folder that you access with a different fingerprint that you can add a passcode to. You have all your important files in there, not banking apps or anything, but files. So, and this regularly scans my device. I can do a manual scan or any new apps. It'll do a virus test for me because, again, sometimes you are using an APK file like GSpace for YouTube Studio. I regularly get scans. What else can you ask for? Tell you what, if you own a Huawei device and you've commented down below, give me proof on Instagram, here's my handle, that your phone has been hacked or malware installed or anything, and then let's chat. But for me, and I know it's only been 2 weeks, I've not had any issues when it comes to security. And if anybody's listening in from China or wherever they're listening in from, hi, that's okay, I have nothing to hide. And if you have got something to hide in the 21st century, well, good luck, because there's very few places to hide them. So beware. So yeah, other myths are, again, based on mostly software. I'm not seeing any myths about hardware per se. I have had one in particular individual argue incessantly that the Honor Magic VS is better than the Huawei Mate X3, hardware-wise as well. I'm just going to say each to their own. That's all. The Huawei Mate X3, and this is me summarising now, the Huawei Mate X3 isn't for everyone. It's probably not even for 1% of the population. But for the 1% of those 1%ers, this is going to be one of the best experiences you'll have with a mobile phone, mainly due to the hardware. If you have the patience and you're willing to keep your banking apps on a separate device, you are going to love the Huawei Mate X3. As far as how resale values will go a year down the line or upgrading, I think you're basically stuck in the Huawei ecosphere. They do very good trading deals, I have been told reliably. But as far as selling your Huawei device on Facebook Marketplace or Gumtree, I think that's going to be a tricky sell. So, if you are needing assistance selling your Huawei Mate X3 or older Huawei devices, pop it down in my comments. I can share it in a video, or my commenters and viewers will see those comments. And if you're putting it on for a reasonable price, you'll probably get somebody to bite, because I've got a loyal fan base and they love tech. So if you've got a Huawei device that you're looking to sell, pop it down in the comments. That's been it for my Huawei review. I love it. I don't think I'm biased, or maybe I am. I've no reason to be. As I say, by the time this video is out, so by the time you're watching this, this is not going to be in my hand. It's not even going to be in my house. It's going to be gone. It's been bought already. Sold. Done. I'm moving on. The Honor Magic 5 Pro should be here tomorrow, so that'll be my new daily driver, if you like. Am I going to miss a foldable phone for a few weeks? Yeah. Am I going to buy the Pixel Fold? maybe. Am I going to buy the Mix Fold 3? 100%. Am I going to buy the Vivo X Fold 2 Plus? Yep. You know how it goes. So if you're looking forward to seeing content on any of those phones or other things, hit subscribe. If you've liked this review, like the video. Hopefully I've not rambled too much. I do just want to make it clear that make your own choices. Don't be influenced as such by people like me or bigger YouTube reviewers. You have to make sure that the price works for you. If you're sitting with a Samsung A52 phone that you bought for like £200, that phone's going to be probably good enough for most of the things you want to do, if not all. Don't feel like you have to go and spend another £2,000. That's a crazy number. £2,000 on a device. Until next time,